You won't feel it today. Not when you ignore that idea. Not when you cancel that workout. Not when you scroll instead of start. That's the trick. Regret doesn't show up loud. It doesn't scream. It waits. Quietly. Patiently. Failure is immediate. It punches you in the face. You fall. You feel it. But regret, it doesn't hurt right away. It creeps in later, when there's nothing left to fix. When the window closes. When the door locks. When the time runs out and you finally realize how many moments you wasted thinking there'd always be more. People spend years building lives they never wanted just to avoid one uncomfortable decision. They stay in jobs that drain them. They stay silent when they should speak. They keep dreaming but never decide. Because failure feels risky, but regret feels invisible. Until it doesn't. You think you'll be okay because nothing bad is happening right now. But that's the lie. Nothing is happening because you're avoiding the one thing that could change your life. It's not failure that's costing you. It's hesitation. Look back at the times you didn't try. Look at the people you let go, the chances you never took. You didn't fail. You hesitated. You doubted. You told yourself, not yet, not ready, maybe later. And now all you have are versions of life that never happened. You'll survive failure. It might hurt. You might break. You might lose. But at least you tried. At least you stepped into the ring and took your shot. Regret doesn't come from defeat. It comes from avoidance. You didn't lose. You ran from the fight. And now you have to wonder what would have happened if you showed up for yourself. The scariest part? You don't even notice regret building until it's too late to undo. It lives in the background. It's subtle. It builds while you pretend you're fine. And then one day, you're alone in a room, older, tired, and you can't stop thinking about the version of you that never showed up. Not because you were incapable, but because you were too careful. We glorify safety. We idolize comfort. But that's not where meaning lives. You don't build a legacy from playing it safe. You don't find fulfillment by sticking to the script someone else wrote. You find it when you do the thing that scares you, when you take the shot, even if you miss. Nobody talks about the slow kind of pain, the kind that doesn't hit like failure, the kind that lingers. Regret sits in your chest. It doesn't scream. It whispers. When you had the chance, why didn't you move? We always think we'll have another day, another opening, another sign, but regret is built from all the next times that never come. It's crafted from the hours you spent convincing yourself you weren't ready, from the days you let fear steer your decisions. The truth is, you won't remember every time you fell. You won't carry the embarrassment of failure forever, but the moments you avoided, the conversations you never had, the dream you buried just because you were scared, those stay with you. Regret doesn't just hit harder, it stays longer. So ask yourself now, not someday, not eventually, right now. What are you running from? What are you avoiding that you know could change everything? What's the opportunity you keep postponing, hoping it'll still be there when you finally feel brave? Because here's what no one tells you. Bravery isn't a feeling, it's a decision. You don't wait until the fear is gone. You move with it. You decide that even if you fail, at least you won't be haunted by wondering what could have been. This isn't about doing something reckless. It's about doing something real. Something that matters to you. Something you've been avoiding for so long that regret has already started forming around it. People waste decades waiting for the perfect moment. It never comes. And when they realize it, it's not sadness that hits them. It's regret. Because they knew. They knew what they wanted. They knew what it would take. But they let the fear of failure talk them out of the future they were built for. You have to decide. Are you willing to fail for something that matters? Or are you going to coast into a life that feels safe but slowly robs you of purpose? There's no middle ground. Regret or growth. You either step into the unknown or you sit and wait while the clock runs down. And if you wait too long, There won't be a second chance. There won't be another window, only a memory of who you could have been, and the silence that comes with knowing you never tried. Regret isn't just about what you didn't do. It's about what you allowed to happen in its place. The life you lived instead of the one you needed. The distractions you entertained instead of the work that could have built something real. The comfort you protected while your potential quietly disappeared behind you. It's not that you chose failure. It's that you didn't choose at all. You think waiting protects you. You think delaying buys you time, but it doesn't. It's trading your future for the illusion of safety. And every time you do it, the price goes up. What you don't choose, you lose. Because time is not patient. It doesn't care how uncertain you feel. It keeps moving. And every day you pause, something you could have built dies quietly behind you. You can convince yourself you're being cautious. You can tell yourself it's wise to plan, to think it through, to take your time. But if you're honest, you're not planning. You're avoiding. You're not preparing. You're hiding. And one day, you'll look at someone else living the life you wanted. Not because they were more talented, not because they had more chances, but because they chose. They were willing to fail forward, and you were just waiting to feel ready. This is what regret looks like. You remember exactly what you wanted. You remember when you had the window. You remember how many times you told yourself you'd start soon. And then you remember you didn't. It doesn't show up in one big crash. It builds in small moments. You feel it when you hear the song that reminds you of a version of yourself that had fire. You feel it when you see someone younger doing what you knew you could have done. You feel it when you're alone and no longer distracted. And it's quiet. That's what makes it dangerous. It doesn't knock you down. It just sits beside you, whispering, "You were meant for more than this." You don't need a perfect plan. You need to stop running from decisions. The ones that scare you. The ones that expose you. The ones that demand effort without guarantees. Those are the choices that build a future you can respect. Failure is honest. It says, "You tried." It says, "Here's what didn't work." And it leaves you with a roadmap. Regret leaves you with nothing. No scars, no stories, no wisdom. Just silence. You don't have to win today, but you have to try. You have to show up for your life instead of waiting for someone else to clear the path. Because no one's going to drag you into your purpose. No one's going to shove you into greatness. It's either a decision you make with every small action or a ghost that follows you into every year you waste. Think about this. You can fail and feel pain for a moment, or you can avoid and carry the question of what might have been for the rest of your life. Which weight would you rather carry? Regret is heavier than loss, because loss teaches you something. Regret reminds you what you never allowed yourself to learn. The worst pain isn't falling. It's never knowing if you could have flown. And here's the truth people don't like to admit. You already know what you're supposed to do. The thing you think about when no one's around. The idea you keep revisiting, even after years. The person you want to become but don't tell anyone about because you're afraid they'll laugh, or worse, they'll believe in you, and you'll have to actually try. That's the life regret will steal from you. If you're waiting for a green light, you'll wait forever. If you're hoping the fear will fade, it won't. If you're telling yourself tomorrow will be better, understand this. You don't grow in someday. You grow in decisions. You grow in now. The more you delay, the better you get at avoiding. And eventually, you'll master the art of convincing yourself that nothing matters. You'll become numb. You'll bury your own potential to protect your pride. And by the time you wake up, you won't even recognize the person you became in the process. There's no applause for the courage you never used. There's no respect for the dreams you never pursued. There's no reward for hiding behind logic when you know deep down you were just afraid to fail. So ask yourself, is this hesitation worth the weight it's going to cost you later? Because every day you don't build, you leave a part of yourself behind. And eventually, those parts start to add up, until all that's left is a pile of could-have-beens. Regret hits harder because it never ends. You'll get over failure, but regret comes with memory. It attaches itself to your identity. It becomes part of how you see yourself. The person who almost did something great, the person who nearly tried, the one who had the spark, but never struck the match. And the older you get, the louder it gets, until one day the silence is unbearable. And by then, it's not just regret, it's grief. For the life you never had the courage to build. You only get one timeline, one arc, one beginning, middle, and end. You don't get to rewind, you don't get to pause. You get what you build, or what you avoid. That's it. Most people think regret is about a single missed opportunity, but it's not. It's about a pattern, a quiet, invisible ritual of saying no to yourself, not once, but over and over again. It starts small. You pass on one risk. You wait one more week. You turn down one invitation. You silence one instinct. And in that moment, nothing feels broken. No alarms go off, nothing explodes. So you do it again and again, until hesitation becomes habit, and habit becomes identity. And suddenly, the version of you that wanted more, you don't even remember how they used to think. This is how people disappear. Not into darkness, but into a life that never belonged to them. They don't crash. They coast. And one day, they look up and realize they've lived 5, 10, 20 years as someone they never meant to become. It's not failure that did it. It's the absence of action. Every dream has a deadline you can't see. Every chance has a shelf life. Every moment you delay is one you'll never get back. And regret will wait quietly until that truth becomes too loud to ignore. You can spend your life trying to stay safe, but eventually you'll realize that avoiding risk was the riskiest thing you ever did. Because you didn't just avoid failure. You avoided becoming the person who could have carried your legacy. No one escapes pain, but you get to choose which kind. The pain of discipline, the pain of failure, the pain of building something that stretches you, or the pain of looking back one day and realizing you traded it all for ease. One hurts now, the other hurts forever. Regret doesn't just haunt your mind, it corrodes your spirit. It rewrites your story without permission. It convinces you that your time is up when really, it just passed by unused. And here's the hardest truth. Nobody can save you from this. No motivation video, no mentor, no perfect timing, no second chance that magically shows up when you feel more confident. Because even if life gives you another shot, if you haven't changed, you'll waste it the same way. You can't defeat regret by wishing. You kill it with action. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to be fearless. You just have to move. Start the thing you keep shelving. Call the person you keep thinking about. Write the words that won't leave your head. Apply for what scares you. Say yes to the version of you that actually wants to live, not just exist. That's how you break the pattern. That's how you flip the script. Regret only owns you if you keep giving it control. But every small, uncomfortable, imperfect action chips away at its power. You think taking action is hard? Try watching someone else do what you were born to do, because you never did. Try being 5 years older and realizing you're still making the same excuses. Try explaining to your future self why you chose nothing over trying. You don't need more time. You need more truth, because deep down, you already know what you're avoiding. And you know what it's costing you. It's not about being the best. It's about being real. Real enough to admit you're scared. Real enough to act anyway. Real enough to carry the weight of failure, because at least that means you cared. Regret only comes to those who were too careful to care at all. And if that's not what you want, then stop protecting your pride and start protecting your future. No one gets to the end of their life and says, "I wish I played it safer." No one lays on their deathbed proud of the excuses they crafted. No one feels peace knowing they dodged discomfort their whole life. You want peace? You want fulfillment? You want to sleep at night without wondering what you missed? Then go fail at something that matters. Try without guarantees. Build something messy, painful, and real. Lose your footing. Find your strength. Take the hits. Keep learning. And let every bruise become proof that you showed up. This life isn't a rehearsal. There's no encore. There's no reset button. There's only the version of you that showed up and the one that didn't. So show up. Even if your hands shake. Even if your voice cracks. Even if nobody claps. Even if you don't win the first time, or the second, or the 10th. Because failure only hurts for a while. But regret, that follows you. That ages with you. That walks beside you when the lights are off and you're left with nothing but memory. That's what you're risking every time you choose delay over direction. Let the world say you were reckless. Let them say you tried too hard. Let them call it obsession. Let them mock your intensity. But let you be the one who knows. You didn't leave this life with your song still trapped inside. Not because you had it easy, but because you chose the pain that builds instead of the one that destroys. That's the difference between a life with scars and a life with silence. One tells a story, the other never begins.